Hey everybody, I'm back with kind of like a part two to the healthcare system here we have in Sweden from an American's perspective, point of view, whatnot. Um, I had like some questions for the taxes versus pay and other things like that, which I can go into from my knowledge. I have worked here in Sweden a couple times. I've been here, like I said, 3 years. Um, I worked as a chef in a restaurant, and I worked like midday night shift because they weren't open during the day. It was just a nighttime restaurant, and I thought I got paid pretty well. I did get like that like shift differential because I worked like a later shift, so that was kind of cool, kind of like what they do in the United States. Um, and I had experience, so I got paid a little bit more as well. I want to say I got around close to $14 an hour as a chef um, because I had experience and stuff like that, which I had to kind of like haggle that a little bit and prove myself, I guess, a little bit like you do with any job. The taxes that were taken out on me weren't at that 35%. I was more around like 27%, somewhere around there. Usually, when you hit about, I'd say I think it's around 60,000 USD per year, you get hit at that 35% tax bracket. Where if you make 100,000 per year, you're at that 50% tax bracket. So that means they're taking out 50% of your income for the to go towards healthcare, school, and everything like that. So I was about 27%. So it wasn't as high for me, and I still, I brought home. I'd say before taxes, I probably made around 2,000 a month, maybe 2,100 a month, and then after taxes, I probably brought home around 1,700 per month. So it wasn't too bad. For some people, maybe they'll make 3,000 per month, and then they'll take home about, I'd say 2,500 per month. And like I said, if you make 100,000, I'm sorry, 10,000 per month, then you're going to probably bring home 50 or 5,000 per month because they're going to take about 50% out of that in taxes. So it just depends. And there's like a lot of people, like for someone who has a disease and goes to the doctor a lot, it's beneficial for them. They can kind of depend on the healthcare system. But for some people who don't go to the doctor as much, they kind of don't like it because they figure, okay, I'm bringing in 10,000 a month for whatever I do for my job. Say you're a lawyer or a doctor or whatever, and then they're going to take out 50% of my pay. So I only get 5,000 per month, but I don't go to the doctor that much, and I'm done with school. Say you're an older person or whatever. So some people are kind of like, that sucks. I would rather have that money and then go to the doctor when I want to. Where other people like it because, like I said, if you have a disease or you have a problem, say you have diabetes or you have high blood pressure or you have Crohn's disease like I do, it's nice when I know I can go to the doctor and not have to pay as much as I did in the United States. Now the big difference is too that like some of the medication that I got when I was in the United States, I can't get here because they don't have it here. For example, I would take antispasmodic medicine for my intestines because my intestines kind of go crazy because of the Crohn's sometimes. and it was like a pain relief. It helped calm down my intestines, calm me down in my stomach, and kind of relax everything. Here they don't offer that medicine. Here they offer something a little bit different. It's not as strong, so therefore you can still be in pain. It's pretty hard here to get pain medication as well. With the Crohn's disease, when I was in pain in the U.S., I could get pain medication. Here I can't get. They just tell you to take Tylenol or Alvedon. What they have here is the same thing as Tylenol in the United States. So that can be kind of daunting when you're in pain. Luckily, I'm in remission, so I'm not in as much pain. But I think for some people, it's hard. Like in America, you can go to pain management, for example, and get pain medication if you have, whatever back problems. Here, they kind of send you to therapy, and it's a little bit harder to get pain medication. It's also harder to get antibiotics. I know, like in America, you can go to CVS or Walgreens or any walk-in clinic and say, oh, I don't feel good, I have a cold, and they'll give you antibiotics like that. Here in Sweden, that's not going to happen. They won't give you antibiotics unless they feel that it's 100% necessary, and they're going to do a culture, and you're going to wait a few days, and if you don't have a fever, you're not getting antibiotics. It's not as easy here in Sweden as it is in the U.S. because they don't want people to become immune to the antibiotics. Because a lot of times in the United States, people get antibiotics so much that the antibiotics don't work anymore. And then they have to give them a different one. Here in Sweden, they don't want that to happen, so they're not going to give it to you as fast. If I wake up with a cold here in Sweden, and I feel like shit, and I don't want to go to work today because I don't feel good, which I tell you not to go to work, of course, if you're sick. And like in the United States, I could be like, oh, I have a sinus infection. I'm going to go to the walk-in clinic. I'm going to get antibiotics. Here, that will not happen. You can call the Vårdcentralen, and you can call the doctor. You can call the 1177, which is like the nurse, and tell her, hey, I don't feel good. She'll be like, how long have you felt like this? Oh, well, I just woke up like this today. Well, give it a few days. If you're not any better or you've had a fever for a few days, then call us back or call Vårdcentralen, or if it's an emergency, of course, call 911, 112. So it's not like in the United States. Now, if you have an illness, and this was before Corona, I'll talk about like before Corona, and you have an illness, so you wake up in the morning and you feel like crap and you don't want to go to work today. Well, if you don't go to work today, you're not going to get paid. If you don't go to work tomorrow, then you have to be out of work for at least 2 days in order to start receiving 75% of your pay, which you would receive from the government. So therefore, you can file for Försäkringskassan, which is like insurance, and then you'll get 75% of your pay. But if you just take off today because you don't feel good and then you go in tomorrow, you don't get paid. You lose that day's pay. So a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll take off the 2 days so that they can receive the 75% of their paycheck for those 2 days. Now with Corona, you only have to be out the 1 day. They implemented that like almost directly after Corona hit. They implemented the 1 day. So even if you're out 1 day, you're still going to get, I believe it's now 80% of your paycheck from the that they'll help you with. So that's pretty good. I know like in America, I feel a lot of the problem is, in which I've talked to my teachers about this too, because I go to school for nursing. I talked to my teachers that I feel that a lot of the problem was in the United States is that we didn't have that dependability. We didn't have that, if I'm sick, how am I going to pay for how am I going to put food on the table? How am I going to pay for my bills? I have to go to work. So therefore, people work when they're sick. So therefore, more people, I feel, contract Corona and the flu and things like that because they feel like they have to work because they're not going to get paid. And that's what's different. That's what's hard, is that, and I've talked to my, like in class about this, and they think it's so wrong that you should have to work when you're sick in order to pay your bills. Like I've talked about, for example, my mother, she's in her 70s, she works every day, and if she doesn't go to work, she doesn't get paid. And that's a problem. That's a big problem. I feel that you should have that dependability. But that's because we have the high taxes, we can do that. In America, you have the right to purchase insurance and go to the doctor, and you have the lower taxes. Here we have higher taxes, but therefore we can take off when we're sick and not have to stress, not have to worry. We can be a little bit more like relaxed. You can feel that, oh, if I get sick, I'm okay. I'm not going to worry about it. I'll still receive 75% of my paycheck. Where in America, if you're sick and you take these days off, maybe you won't receive any money. Maybe you don't have any paid time. Maybe they don't offer that at your company. And that's what's really, really, really hard is feeling like you have to work. I know there was a lot of times in the United States when I had, my Crohn's disease was active and I was always in pain, but I was afraid to take the day off because I felt that if I took the day off, I was going to lose money and that I need money to pay my bills and whatnot. So I worked while I was in pain. I worked while I was sick. I worked, it was hard, but here in Sweden, I know that if I have a bad day and I feel like I can't leave the house because I can't stop going to the bathroom because my Crohn's disease is having a issue, a flare, then I feel like, well, if I can't go in today, it's not that big of a deal. I'll just take 2 days off or 3 days off, get my body back into a good mode, and then go back to work and not have to stress so much about losing so much money. So that is a big relief, And I was when I first moved to Sweden, I felt like for me coming here with a disease, it was I felt like I was going to be okay. I wasn't so stressed about that part of it. I was nervous about the healthcare system overall because it's a social healthcare system. I was nervous, like, am I going to be taken care of like I was in the United States? Will I be able to receive the same kind of treatment as I did in the United States because I'm not paying more money for it? And for me personally, I feel that, I feel that I am getting good treatment. I am getting the treatment that I was getting in the United States. Sometimes I feel like because the doctors here in Sweden aren't depending on the insurance companies and aren't depending on like big pharma, they're not going to push medication because they're not getting an extra pay for it like they do in the United States. They're not going to push more visits because they're not getting extra paid for it. Where in the United States, they're always booking you in for visits. They're always, giving you medication or pushing medication, which I feel is wrong. Sometimes you don't need that medication, but because they're getting a kickback, they're going to push that medication, and that's not good. Like I said, I was on Crohn's medication at a very high dose. When I came to Sweden, they were freaking out because it was wrong. And I told my doctor for over a year that I felt like something was wrong with my body. I was sick. There was a problem. And he kept telling me, no, it's okay. Just keep taking the medication. You're fine. I wasn't fine. My liver was being destroyed from this medication because the dosage was wrong. And the Swedish doctors are the ones who caught it and said stop, So I felt that if I wouldn't have come here and I wouldn't have gotten that opinion by those doctors, I would have continued to destroy my liver, and I would have had more complications and more problems. So I feel that I'm lucky for that aspect. So the doctors here aren't depending, like I said, on the insurance companies to pay them. So therefore, they're all paid the same. It's paid by the government. So therefore, they're just getting a paycheck like you and me. They're not depending on, oh, I gotta book in, 10 or 20 or 15 people today, or I'm not gonna be able to pay my bills. It's not like that here in Sweden. They're getting paid from the government, so it doesn't. They're more calm. They're more sympathetic. They're more relaxed. They'll sit there and talk to you. They'll they'll be human beings with you rather than just getting you in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. I got to get that next guy in here so that I can get as many people in here today as I can so that I can get paid. And that's where I feel the system is wrong. You know, the doctors in America are so stressed because, you know, first of all, they have these huge student loans because it's so freaking expensive to go to school in the United States. So they have these huge student loans they have to pay for, and they have this pressure on them to get as many people in as they can so that they can, you know, pay for their student loans and pay for their lifestyles and whatnot. So therefore they have stress there. They're pushing medication like crazy, which maybe they shouldn't be pushing certain medications or pushing as much. And that's where you have, I think, a lot of the narcotic problems in America as well. Because they're getting kickbacks, they're getting money for that. We're here in Sweden, they're not. So they're not pushing medication. They're not pushing visits. They're only doing what they feel is necessary for you. Not, you know, because it doesn't benefit them if you come in 35 times, you know, unless you absolutely need it or you're sick. It doesn't benefit them to push medication on you. And that's where I feel the difference is in Sweden with the social health care and the American healthcare system. That's, of course, my perspective, my point of view from living here in Sweden and also living in the United States. It's very interesting when you've seen it from two different perspectives and two different sides. You know, you've always thought one way, say living in the United States, like, oh, maybe the system is wrong, you know, the doctors, this, that, and the other. But then when you come over to another country and you start experiencing another healthcare system, that's when you really opens up your mind and you really see where the flaws are and where it's wrong and where it could be fixed. Maybe they could fix the healthcare system, but see, a lot of the problem is in the United States is people don't want their taxes to go up. And if you don't want your taxes to go up, then that's a problem. So say this person is for social health care. They don't mind their taxes going up. They just want to be able to depend on their government or depend on, you know, being able to go to the doctor when they're sick and not having to stress and worry about money. Where other people are saying, no, I don't want my taxes to go up. We should get that anyways. Well, you know, somebody's got to pay for it. It's got to be you, you know, one way or another. And then there's other people that say, no, I don't want my taxes to go up. I'm not sick that much, you know. So unless you have everybody on board on the same page, or the government just implements it and everybody just has to do it, it's not going to get done. So, I mean, it's a hard system to kind of have to jump over, and a lot of hurdles, I think, in order to get to that point where everybody's on board and everybody's on the same page. And with, you know, school, for example, I can go into that a little bit. You know, if you want to go to school to be a doctor here, or go to school to be a nurse, or go to school to be anything, you have to be in order to take CSN, which is student aid, you have to be a permanent resident or a citizen, something like that. So I'm a permanent resident, so I can take out student loan, I can take out CSN to go to school, which if I was going to school to be a doctor, the student loan is substantially lower. The interest rate right now is like 0.016, I think it is. It's really low compared to the United States. So I know that when I'm done, I won't have this ginormous freaking student loan. I know that I'm not going to get paid as much as I would in America being a doctor or a nurse, but I don't have this huge ass student loan to pay for. So it's like it equals out, if that makes sense. I wouldn't get paid as much per hour. I wouldn't get paid as much per year as a doctor or a nurse in America. But then again, if I don't have to pay for that $100,000 student loan, it doesn't matter, you know, it equals out. I think it's more calm, it's more lumped. And that's the reason why, and the only reason I'm taking out a student loan here in Sweden, which most people do, is for books and housing. School is free because you pay for it in your taxes. So therefore, I don't have to pay to go to school. you have to pay for my books and my living expenses or whatever, to kind of, since I'm not working, I'm just going to school. Most people here in Sweden, they don't work and go to school at the same time because they don't have to, because school is free and they're receiving aid, CSN, to live and whatnot, and pay for your bills and stuff like that. Of course, you can have a small job as well, but once you make over a certain amount, you can't receive CSN. And so say you have a job, a full-time job, and you're getting paid over, I don't know, 20,000 a month. Or, I'm sorry, 2,000 a month. I'm thinking in Swedish crowns and then the US dollar. If you're receiving over $2,000 a month from your job, you're not going to receive CSN because they feel that you don't need it. You can pay for your housing, you can pay for your books out of your paycheck. You just have to budget. But if you're not receiving that much money, say you have a part-time job, you can still go to school and receive CSN to help out. So it's really nice. And if you have a child, you get a grant to go to school, to just like you would sometimes in the United States. You also receive grants. Here you receive grants too. But if you have a child, you receive a little bit more, which is nice because they feel it's more expensive to have a child, of course. So therefore, like I said, if you're becoming a doctor or a nurse or an engineer, maybe you won't receive as much money as you would in the United States, but you don't have to worry about having that ginormous student loan to pay off that you would in the United States. So I think it equals out. Also, if you here in Sweden, if you have to go to the dentist, it's free up until the age of, I think, 24. So you don't have to pay to a visit. You don't have to really pay for anything up until you're 24 years of age, because it's paid for out of the taxes. So after that age, that's when you start paying for like visits and whatever you're having done, fillings or a bridge or whatever. I had back in February, I think, of this year, I had a tooth fixed, and then I had 3 fillings, and it cost me 300 USD. So I thought that wasn't too bad. And then like a month later, I had something had broke or something had screwed up. So I had to go back. I called the dentist and I told him, hey, something's wrong. And it was within like a couple of months, like a month or two. And he's like, just come in, and he fixed it for free. I didn't have to pay anything for a visit. I didn't have to pay for him to fix it again. He just said, come in, we'll take a look at it. I'll take care of it. I went in, he took care of it, and that was it. I mean, it was like so much calmer. I know that in the United States, that wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have happened at all. It would have been just more money, and I probably just would have lived with the broken freaking tooth again and not have went to the dentist. And that's where a lot of it's wrong too, is you don't feel like you can go to the dentist or go to the doctor because it's going to cost so much money. Where here in Sweden, I'm not as worried about it. I feel like if I have to go to the doctor or if I have to go to the dentist or whatnot, I'm just going to go because I know that it's not that big of a deal. So yeah, that was my part 2. Hopefully it answered some of your questions. If you have more questions, let me know. I'd like to do another video on school, from the beginning to high school to college. Talk a little bit about that as well and how it works here in Sweden, but we can take that in another video. Thank you. I hope you guys have a wonderful week and a wonderful rest of your day. And yeah, hey.